Hi, good afternoon. This is Chris Cruz, and I am looking forward to painting these 3 jingle bells with you. It's 5 days of painting 5 items for $5 each. So I hope you at least signed up for 1 or 2 of them. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm painting this on balsa wood on paper, and I put a little hole on the top of it because this one I plan on making it an ornament. But if you don't want to, just don't punch this hole here on the top. I'm using golden paints, tube paints. I'm using Peroli red, permanent maroon for shading, and then golden permanent green light. And this is called open because it stays open a little bit longer, and I'm going to show why I'm going to do that. Obviously titanium white. And then at the end, I'm gonna put some fluorescent pink and see how that turns out. Maybe it will show up, maybe not, I don't know. But you'll go along with me and do it, okay? So in the kit, if you buy the kit, it would have all 5 ornaments, 10 sheets of paper, the drawing, the line drawing, color picture, and the paints. So you can't go wrong with that. So join me on painting. I'm gonna paint with a long brush just so that you can see me, but you paint with whatever you have. And what we're gonna do first is we're gonna clean our brush. And I tap my brush dry. I don't, like really get it dry so that there's no moisture in it. And this is a big brush. This is a number 6, and I always tell my students, paint with the biggest brush you can. So I'm gonna dip my brush in the paint here on the side. I never drag from the top because I'll drag too much paint. If you don't learn anything else from this video, this is like the most important step. So come here to the side, right? And load your brush with the red. See that? Now you're loaded with red. And it doesn't matter what kind of paper you have in the background. That's the whole idea, to make it nice and interesting. So I'm gonna follow the shade of my little jingle bell, right? And I traced this with a bottle cap. So if you can't draw a straight line, like I can't, then cheat a little bit and use a bottle cap. It works. And I'm only gonna give this 1 coat because if the paper shows through, that's gonna give it a little bit more interest than doing it all solid. So if you can, don't do it solid so that you can see the different colors of the paper and lines and words and things like that. It just gives it kind of like a little different perspective. Okay, so there's the first one. The second one is over here. And I'm gonna leave a little space between the 2 bells so that I know where they separate. Because once I start painting, I kind of get lost. I just look at the colors and then it's like, oh, where did I go? So always give yourself what I call a little lip. Turn it around, come on the bottom here. Don't worry about those 2 little dots and covering them. You'll be able to see them through the paint. I mean, this cannot be any easier, right? That's bell number 2. I'm gonna come to bell number 3, turn it around, go right underneath there, go all the way around. And we know that that little corner is coming into this one, and we have a little edge on this one here. And people always tell me, oh my God, that brush is so big, but look how much I've done in a minimum amount of time. Okay. See that? Cool. Okay, now we need to shade this little baby, right? So we know that anything on the top, the shading should be on the top. That should be a good little hint to go by. Everything on the bottom, shade from the bottom. Now, I never rinse my brush until I absolutely have to. And why don't I do that? Because all the colors start blending into your brush. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pick up just a little bit from that permanent maroon here and blend it into my brush. And if you notice, my red is getting darker, but not so dark that will have a big difference, right? So I'm gonna turn it around and I'm gonna come right here on my edge and put that red in there. If it's not dark enough, sometimes it takes 2 or 3 times. Come back, I take the tip of my brush and I'm not pressing very hard at all. A whisper of a brush, right? Go again. And why am I doing this? Why not do it all from one shot? Because I find that if you do it all at one shot, you don't have the degree of shading like we have here. And you will notice that when we do the highlights. So I'm going to turn it around and I can already see the shading. And I'm going to come underneath here and shade the bottom of that bell. Oh, this looks good. I don't want to do it too much, but just enough. Come back, pick up a little bit more of that paint. I'm going to go right underneath here to separate these guys and cover the paper that I left open. See that? So you can see that they're separating. Take up a little bit more red, separate these two. Right underneath here. And the crunching you hear in the background is my cat eating. They never, you know, bother me until I decide that I'm gonna paint. So, crunch, crunch, crunch. They're so cute, aren't they? Okay, so come back here and do the bottom one here. Make sure I'm in the camera here. Okay. So you can almost tell right now where the bell separations are. That's all you need. Don't go crazy. Now, I'm not going to rinse my brush. I have this permanent green light, which is a very light green, but I'm going to pick it up with my red so that green gets a little bit darker. See that? It's almost like we're shading the green. And I'm going to come here and I'm going to give ourselves a little branch. I'm going to bring this tip right here. And give ourselves some little pine needles. I want these to come out on the bottom. Okay. Oh, and we forgot to shade here. Yeah. Might be my paper towel, getting all that green out of it. Okay. Not too much. Wipe it with your finger. Okay. I'm going to come back into my green and I'm going to do my pine needles. So I am going to hold my brush straight up and I'm going to come from the outside in small little strokes and make them all uneven. Nature is not perfect, neither are we. So come here and go right into the bell. That's okay. Come back. Here's a little one right here. And right here. You see how they don't have to be perfect? Turn around, pick up a little bit more of that green. I'm going to put another little branch over here somewhere. And I'm going to come back again. I'm going to pick up a tad of water, like 1/8 of a tip of my brush. And come back. And the bottom, let's not forget the bottom. Now, this almost looks finished, but obviously it's not. I'm gonna pick up a little bit of this white, my titanium white, and I am going to just do the tips a little bit more. I want it to show. I want to put a little bit on the tips of my green so that it looks like snow, right? Come back here, do this one, and do every other one so that it gives it a little bit of style. Okay, and some of these I want you to do real heavy so that it looks like snow fell on it. See that? Do one here. Okay, from the bottom up. Okay, now I'm gonna rinse my brush completely. We have two little bell ringers here that we have to put in. And I rinsed my brush because it was all getting gooky. See, it still has red in it, that's fine. Well, I'm gonna take my permanent maroon and I'm going to draw the little hole in here and in here, and with the tip of my brush, bring it down. Come back, do the other one. I'm gonna do the little one here and here. Let us spit, won't hurt it. Okay, and here and here. If you want it a little darker, I'm happy with the way it is, but you may want it a little darker. Just put a little bit more of the green and voila. Gives you a little extra oomph. See that? The big guy here has one too. So let's turn that around and with a nice tip and hold your brush straight up, bring the little curve. Okay, I don't like that one. So what happens, I'm gonna rinse my brush completely. I'm gonna come here and wipe that out. See how cool that is? So don't get frustrated if you make a mistake. That's all part of the process. Mix this again, nice tip. See how, hope you can see that. See how straight that is? Come here, do your little circle, almost like a happy face. And I'm gonna hold my brush straight up, come down and come down again, okay? Now I'm gonna rinse my brush completely. Now there's two ways you can highlight this little guy up here. You can do red. I'm gonna show you both ways. You can do red and a little bit of white. And it gives you almost like a pinky red. So you can come here and dry brush it on here. And dry brush it on here. And we're going to try the fluorescent. Oh, when you have fluorescent paints, what you do is you have to shake it until you hear that little ball. Hear that? And that means that everything is mixed. Because if not, what happens is sometimes you're just going to get a little bit of the mixture of the paint and you're not going to get any paint. So let's see what happens if we use this color. I think it's going to look good. Oh yeah, look at the difference. I'm gonna put some up here and some here. Oh my God, that really pops really good. I like that. Pick up a little bit more. Take my bell, and this is the little center of my bell. Pick up, put some there, and maybe some here on the bottom. Why not? Pick up a little bit more and do the other bell. Oh, and look at that. I forgot that little corner here. So let's put some red in there. There we go. I'm going to wipe my brush again, only because I picked up the red. And I'm going to pick up a little bit of that fluorescent paint. I love this fluorescent paint. This just does it. Look at that. Now we're going to put a little hanger, right? So that it doesn't look like it's just floating in midair. And hang it from here. Pretty cool. Now, last but not least, I'm going to take this green and come over the white and in between. And look how much that stands out now. Just a tad. See that? You can cover some of the white if you don't like it. Have it mix because it's wet and become like a lighter green. It's your project. You can do it as nice as you want, as dark, anything. It's your project. You want to stop while you're ahead? Stop. You want to keep going? Go. These would make nice Christmas gifts this year, especially with the economy the way it is. A lot of people are not working. It's a very inexpensive way to give somebody a Christmas gift. And pick up a little bit more of that white and come in between here to make that green lighter. See that? And now it looks a little bit more textured. Don't like that too much. Come back. There we go. Cool. Now you have yourself 3 little jingle bells. Let me know how you like this project. Send me pictures of what you have done. One last look around before we go. I don't like that the lines here are not so defined, so I'm going to go back again into my red and my dark red. I'm going to wipe it on my paper towel a little bit so I don't have too much, and I'm not pressing very hard. I'm just going to come here and define that a little bit better. See that? It was kind of like missing something. Do the same thing here. Pick up a little bit of that red and do the same thing right here. Oh yeah. Looks very pretty, doesn't it? Oh, this little guy needs something to hold on to too, right? It's kind of like it's in midair. Just noticed that. So we'll put a little red ribbon up here. And there he goes. I'm going to cover some of that with the green. And voila. Oh, one last thing. Let's put a little white dot in here. I must have stuck my finger in here. No problem. We just wipe it off. And that's the neat thing about painting on paper. Look at this. You can fix anything. Turn it around. See that? That's it.